The following is a Productions original series.
Hello, and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, joined by Addie Rich. Our podcast is dedicated to amplifying the voices of the disability community. And I'm a polio survivor.
Yep.
Yep.
I have cerebral palsy.
Yep.
Yep.
Nothing has changed. You know, why do you tell us every week? Not you. I'm not. No. I'm not asking you. I'm acting as the audience, asking us. Why do you tell us?
Oh.
And we used to do a much longer. We used to do a much longer version, and we thought, they've heard this, so many times. Let's just shorten it. But so I just wanted to kind of reiterate that if you want to hear the long one, go back about 100 episodes, and you'll find it.
It's like, go back about 4 months, 5 months, 6 months,
something like that.
Yeah.
So, how was your week? Good week? Cold week?
It was like decent. I mean, it's weird to think that we're in the holiday season because, I mean, the weather in the morning when it's like in the 20s, you're like, yep, it's definitely December. But it gets warm. Like last week in the middle of the week, it was like in the mid 60s.
Wow.
So I would go outside a little. But it only lasts maybe an hour and a half. That counts as like in the 60s. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like when you see those people on Ninja Warrior thing and they have to jump and try to hit the thing. It's that. The sun is just like, tag up, we got 60 degrees, we're leaving.
We got to get out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I enjoy cold. I like sweatshirts. I like socks. I like a blanket.
Yeah.
I don't look like a lunatic.
It's all working out.
It's all working out.
Yeah, it's all working out pretty nice for me, too, because I like sweatshirts, but, it never gets below like 68 or something here. Well, there are times where we'll go 30 days or something with like only in the 50s. It doesn't get above the 60s.
Yeah.
For a daytime high. So I love those days.
Yeah.
But I'm finding that for whatever reason, as I've gotten older, anything below 78, and I start to need a sweatshirt. So it's all working out okay for me.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is like, when you're in cold, do you get stiff? Because I get insanely stiff. So I turn into like the Tin Man when I'm trying to do anything. And I'm like, what just happened? So
that's a good question, but I don't know. Everything that goes on with me seems to be so, it's cyclical, but there's no rhyme or reason to the cycles,
Right.
There are literally times I go to bed at night and I'm stiff. I can't make a move, and without it, just like you hear me in there screaming, and or at least grunting, just to move a little bit in bed.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's difficult to sleep, right, with that pain. Yeah. And it'll get to be 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm still feeling that way. And then I wake up at 6, and it's like a miracle happened in the last 2 hours.
Healed.
All of a sudden, it's not like just better. It's almost all gone away. I'm like, what the heck? So all I can conclude is that it's this power of sleeping, the healing power of sleeping.
Nice. Can you talk to my psyche and my healing? Because my freaking neck is hurt for 3 damn weeks.
Yeah.
It's still not better. I'm like, I can't handle it. I want to take my head off and set it down somewhere.
If I was experiencing that kind of cold, that might be the difference. But so I did. This is the last time we talked. Went under the weather, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was fine till Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Went and we did the presentation to John Hemp with the Dogs Project.
Yes. I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, we surprised him. And he was overwhelmed. It was very nice.
So fun.
And, so it's Taco Tuesday at the American Legion Hall. So I opted for some taquitos this time. I had 3 taquitos.
Uh-oh.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I can correlate that or not, but but I just know that
his routine. So just the change up is it could be I'm side-eyeing a change up for him. Anyways, Tuesday you have your taquitos.
Yeah, so I wake up somewhere, early in the morning, like 2 or 3. And stuff's happening. Like, that's ain't right.
In the
that's not
zone.
Good. Deep in the zone. So, just cramping and just some different things. And so, got through that day, didn't do a whole lot. had to cancel everything I was doing, everything I was talking about, excuse me, last week, I didn't do, so I ended up, couldn't go to the Christmas party for Volunteers for Veterans.
Which sucks. It's like the worst week to be
really
sick.
sucked. And then couldn't go to the Veterans Village Pantry on Thursday. And tried, to kind of wait it out as much as I could because I had the MC job for
Sunday.
Possibilities, which is, 800-900 people there. And I've done it for nearly 20 years. And Willie Stewart was going to be there, who I haven't seen in years and years and years and years. So I was looking forward to that. And I just couldn't do it.
Oh, you couldn't even go?
No, I couldn't even. So I went to, so after the taquitos, the next thing I ate, so this is Tuesday night, the next thing I ate, I had a Pop-Tart on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And, so I was just losing energy. And believe me, there's a whole lot more to this story that, I don't want to bore you with, but thank God for good neighbors and all that. But, and I'm trying I can tell I'm getting dehydrated, not drinking as much water as I can and this, that, and the other. And I mean, I have to take sips of water every 2 to 3, 4 minutes because my mouth is just so dry.
Yes.
And finally, I feel like I'm starting to making some headway on it. And then I'll kind of jump forward here, but somewhere around Thursday or Friday, while I'm laying around, I started to have. Well, no, it must have started Thursday night because it was at night, the first one. I started having.
And I saw you Thursday. We recorded a show.
Right,
we'll come out later. Yeah. And I mostly am the show because you, poor thing, were feeling like such a horrible piece of donkey. So so Thursday night, you had a hallucination.
Yeah, I had a hallucination. I look up. I just wake up, and I look out, and there's a golden retriever looking back at me. Very clearly a golden retriever,
Yes.
But kind of opaque.
Yeah.
So, I can still kind of see the room behind him, but, and then kind of as soon as I notice it, it just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Well, that was interesting. Interesting. And my brother's had a couple of golden retrievers, so I have to tell him, I'm thinking to myself, I'll have to tell Drew, one of your dogs has visited me. So anyway, so then I start to see odd things, and a lot of times it's just something out of the corner of my eye. It's like something's over. I look over. One time I look over and I don't have a cat, so let me tell you that first. So I look over and there's a cat walking away from me on my kitchen floor.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. And then it kind of settled into, it was things like flies. It was, I know. I think they were flies. I didn't get close enough to them. I couldn't tell vividly. They might have been gnats, but it looked kind of, the fly pattern looked like flies. So they, I'd see 5 of them all of a sudden come over my left shoulder and do a little turn and a turn back and go behind something. So I'm looking. They never came back out, so I know that's not real flies,
Yeah.
And then a lot of times this would happen at night. Anytime I would wake up and look around, then it got to the point where there were easily hundreds and hundreds of flies. They're all on the walls and all the time I would look at something and like I could look up at the ceiling or something and there would be these stains on it. Like, what are those stains?
Yeah.
Well, they were hallucinations because as soon as I would look at them and start looking around, they would start to all disappear. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. And then in addition to the flies, I woke up one night and I'm looking at the floor and the floor is covered in fog.
Okay.
Like you see in a movie where somebody's going through the hollow.
Yeah, you're making me, I feel like I'm walking through a horror show with you. Like, I'm very nervous about this.
So you think you might be frightened of that kind of thing, but I just.
Oh my God, I would have been terrified. Like, no.
I just figured it's something to do with the dehydration and all that. So, okay, so this morning, again, a little more progress. But I decided to have kind of a deep dive to ChatGPT. And so that was kind of the first question I asked, is it abnormal to have hallucinations when you have dehydration, and it said no. I mean, yes, it's very typical. That's
okay. Yeah, not abnormal.
Not abnormal. Yeah, very typical. Yeah,
like fever dreams.
Mm-hmm. So like, oh, okay, good. And they had stopped by then. So I haven't seen any in the last 6-8 hours.
Have you drank more water than
before?
You
know what too is I added electrolytes to it last night.
There you go.
I forgot I had them, and then somebody reminded me. So yeah, so
I still think you need to go to the doctor as your.
I'm going to call
bonus
one of
child.
Yes, and yes. Yeah, I one of the things I was going to do this morning was call the doctor first thing, and then I just I'm laying. I wake up at 6 o'clock, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm on track. So I'm like, I don't feel like getting up quite yet, but I'll get up at 7 or 8 o'clock. Yep. And next thing I know, I think I started getting calls and texts. I look at my watch and it's 11 o'clock.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I just I always figure, especially when you're sick, if you fall asleep again after sleeping 12 hours and you sleep 2 more hours, it's meant to be. Your body needs it. Yeah. So that's where we are now. And, you notice, I think I sound a little better. Probably can tell my voice a little raw. But so if you notice too today, I was drinking more during an interview we did today. Trying to maintain the
electrolytes.
The electrolytes, yeah. Eating a little more. Got some menu suggestions from ChatGPT about you start with light things, obviously.
Toast, rice, applesauce, bananas.
Not tacos? Did you hear that? Not tacos?
Not tacos. No.
Okay.
No tacos. No tacos for you.
Well,
Instacart. I shall Instacart.
Yeah, I got Instacart yesterday. So, one of the interesting things was too in this conversation was that it let me know that because I was giving it information and it says when you're dehydrated, especially severe dehydration, you're going to experience more symptoms, and it's a real stress on your liver and all of these different things. And then one of the things that you lose because you're so dehydrated is that you're losing sodium. Well, now to exacerbate that, I take a high blood pressure medicine, and it reduces sodium because I am.
Yeah.
It's a diuretic as well. So that's a part of that process, is the sodium and everything else to help you clean your system. So I've introduced a little bit more sodium into my diet to kind of, to overcome that. So that's it. That's the medical story of Doug right now. Woo!
Poor Doug.
How boring was that?
Not boring.
No. I thought the hallucination was enough to make it a little more exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I wouldn't have gone into that depth if we didn't have the old hallucinations.
Well, do you realize the parallel in the guest we're about to have this week?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
So your hallucinations are kind of a segue accidentally.
Yeah, thank you, universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything we talked about your week? Cold and nothing major.
So now tell us
no
about
drama.
the guest.
All right. Don't forget to
like, subscribe, hit the every button.
Yeah.
Join our Facebook page too.
Yeah.
Follow Doug and me on TikTok. Do all the things.
Oh, do all the things. Walk and roll live.
Be entertained by us.
Walk and roll live. And your page is the Plot Twists.
Yep, the Plot Twist Society. Or Glam Adaptive Lifestyle.
Beautiful. All right. Enough of that. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk with Anna Keibler. Really a bunch of guests lately that have been each and every one of them just fascinating, right?
Yeah.
This is another one, another good one. So we'll talk to her just as soon as we hear a quick message from the AGAR Professional Training Studio.
At UGYAR Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. UGYAR is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with UGYAR Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
From the UGYAR Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, and we've got Addie Rich here as well, and our guest for this week, Anna. Thank you for being here, and I thought we'd just get a brief introduction from you, and then we'll kind of get into the whole story.
Sure. So my name is Anna Keibler. I am 34 years old, and I live in Southern Indiana, and I work as a technical writer and instructional designer, but my background is in natural resources. And I spent a significant portion of my life in China. Well, it was only 5 years, but a lot of significant things happened while I was there that really shaped me. And it sticks with me today. So I'm also a writer. And my hobbies include playing the guitar and doing metal sculptures.
Wow.
Very nice.
That's awesome. What a cool variety of things.
Just in that little bit, it's fascinating. So
I know, I'm like, just in the beginning, just in the intro, I'm like, okay, now tell me your whole story right now. No.
So when we come on in the introduction of the show, we talk about briefly what our disabilities are. I'm a polio survivor, Addie CP. And so how would you describe your disability?
My disabilities are related to my mental health. So I am bipolar, type 2. For those that don't know the difference between type 1 and type 2, with type 2 bipolar disorder, you never reach full mania. So you never go into psychosis, but you do have hypomania. So you get like hypersexual and you feel like you're on top of the world. You spend all your money. And then the depression lasts longer and tends to be deeper than those who have bipolar type 1. I also have OCD, and mine manifests in the form of intrusive thoughts. So sometimes it does have a physical manifestation, like constantly checking to see if the doors are locked, but mostly it's in my head.
Got you. Well, I can relate to the did I turn that off? I need to go home and check. Did I turn that off? Thank God I work from home, because now when I have to get up and check the oven 15 times that I haven't used, I'm home with the oven and I don't have to be like, how much longer do I have to be out before I can go back? But yeah, so I can understand.
You can see where it would be debilitating if it gets,
oh my God,
out of hand. Yeah. Well, it's great to have you here today, because I think in some way, shape, or form, every conversation we have on Walk and Roll Live, we touch upon mental health, just because a lot of our guests have gone through a traumatic event. And I think many of them would tell you, if not all of them, that that's the most difficult part. Sometimes healing from your injuries and then kind of getting used to the physical changes, the mobility changes in your life. That's probably the easier part, and the mental part is tough. So interested in hearing more about your journey. You say you started in China. So when did this first start to kind of present?
Well, I wasn't diagnosed until after I'd had my first child. I was 26. But, I can look back and see that it started in high school. Maybe even earlier in high school. One of the really big characteristics is hypersexualization, right? And I can trace that back to maybe when I was around 13, but I didn't have a name for it. And then when I got to China, when I was 19, it was full blown. I was going between depression and hypomania all the time, just rapid cycling, but I had no clue what was going on. And it wasn't until I was diagnosed later that I've been able to kind of look back and say, oh, I was definitely hypomanic when I was doing this, or, oh, yes, this was a time where I was completely depressed. It makes so much more sense now.
So now that you're more educated about it, you can look back and say, oh, that's what that episode was about. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned when you had your children. So what did you encounter then?
When I first had my daughter, I felt this deep compulsion to throw her over the banister. I would wake up every morning and I would be so scared. I was terrified that I was just going to throw her down the stairs. And, I didn't want to do that, but I was convinced that I was going to do that. And so I went to the doctor about it. And that's when he told me that I probably have OCD and that I'm experiencing postpartum depression. So they put me on medications. It got a little better, but it wasn't great for a couple months. So I went back and I saw a psychologist, and the psychologist was the one who looked at my history, and she's like, okay, so tell me about your history. And I said, I went through this really traumatic event in China, and I think that's altered my brain chemistry or something. And she's like, oh, describe the traumatic event. And then she's like, oh no, honey, you're bipolar. It's like, okay. So knowing...
Did she think that it had nothing to do with the traumatic event? This was something else?
She thought it was something else entirely. She said that the traumatic event was definitely a trigger. Mm-hmm. And so the depression that I described after the event, she's like, yeah, that was a big trigger. And she's like, look, if you trace this traumatic event from start to finish, you can see where you were hypomanic in the beginning, depressed in the middle, hypomanic again. It's like, okay, that makes sense. And then once I was properly medicated, the postpartum depression really subsided pretty easily. And then when I had my second child, the postpartum depression came back. The bipolar flared its ugly head. I was so depressed, but I knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. And that made things a lot easier.
Yeah, so you're kind of on the lookout for it.
Absolutely.
Must have
now, is that because of the hormone shift?
Right?
It could have been because of the hormone shift. There are some studies out there that say that like the shifting hormones, even like from a monthly cycle, can trigger bipolar episodes. I'm not sure specifically for myself, but it would not surprise me at all.
And then, so of course, get all that taken care of. Children are safe, and then how going forward? How do you deal with those things? And, one of the other questions I was curious to throw it all at you here, but you talk about kind of cyclical the symptoms can be, and I'm wondering, is that if it was a waveform, is it longer periods of up and down, or does it go like this, up and down rapidly? I mean, from the beginning of a day to the end of a day, can you kind of shift your feelings?
For me, I tend to go through either two different type of waveforms. It's either a long up and down extended where I can have months where I am stable, where I feel normal. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden usually it starts to go up first, and then I get hypomanic. And then after that, it comes all crashing down and I go through deep depression. Normally, that is just like one cycle and that'll happen a couple of times a year. But sometimes I will rapid cycle, and it can be from day to day. Like one day I'll be depressed, one day I'll be hypomanic. And it just kind of depends. And there's nothing that you can do to stop it from happening. You just kind of have to recognize that it is happening. And, they say the medications aren't going to make it go away. They just make it more tolerable. But medications can also be a little tricky. Mm-hmm. And there was one point in time where I'm still a smoker, but I tried to stop. And I decided that I was going to take Chantix. And I'd actually taken Chantix before, and it worked. And my dad and I stopped together. And then I started again, but tried it again. And suddenly I'm on this Chantix, and I get really depressed. And I'm like, okay, this is a depressive episode. But things started getting really bad. And then I was coming home from work every day and just getting right into bed. And I didn't want to connect with my children at all. And then I started getting really suicidal. And I thought, okay, I started to plan out how I was going to end my own life. But then I thought, I can't just leave my kids here without a mom. So my logical, depressed brain said, got to take them out too.
Wow.
Because you don't want to leave your kids behind to suffer that. And I thought it would be more merciful if I killed my children along with me. That way they didn't have to live with a dead mom. Well, then I thought to myself, well, if my kids are gone, my parents would be so sad because, their daughter would be dead and their grandchildren would be dead. And what would they have to live for? I thought, well, maybe they should just die too. And we could all just be dead, and then everything would be fine. Like, if we're all just gone, then nobody else is sad. It made total sense to me. And I had a plan. I was going to like make a meal that was poison, and I was going to kill all of us. And my husband was not part of this plan, however. I thought for some reason that he would be fine. So he was not involved in my...
You're like, he's got it. He's all good. You're like, no dinner for you. He's like, what the heck is going on?
But I was really convinced that was the way to go. And then one night I was...
This, Anna, is there any other voice that's saying, not a good idea, not a good idea? Or is that never...
At first there was a voice that was like, this is not a good idea. But it went away, once I realized that like, my parents would be sad, the voice that said to stop just went away. It said, just keep going. Like, it changed. It flipped the script.
Yeah.
But there must have been some voice deep in there, because one night, I decided that this wasn't right. And I got up out of bed. I was in my pajamas, and I got my car key, and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to the hospital. And I just walked out the door and went to the ER.
You.
Yeah. Well, and when I got there, I told them, I was like, I want to kill myself and my kids. And they took me back immediately.
Yeah, they were like,
and I expected, yeah, red alert for sure. I expected to really only be there for like a 24-hour hold, because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But I was there for quite a while, and the social worker told me that they see this pretty often, the homicidal ideation in mothers. And he's like, what happens for most women who go through with it is they successfully kill their children, and then they kind of snap out of it, and then they don't have the wherewithal to go through with killing themselves as well. And so then you're left, you've woken up out of this fog, and there you are you've killed your family, and then you go to jail, and then the whole world is like, this is a monster. And he's like, I could be seeing your face on the news right now, but instead you're in front of me, so good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God, right? That not only did that come to you, but you acted immediately. I mean, who knows what would have happened if you said, well, maybe I'll head over to the ER tomorrow morning, and by
tomorrow
that time, it might have switched back. You just don't know.
Well, and as it turned out, people who have mental health issues should not take Chantix, because it can cause severe depression, and it can also cause psychosis. So it never should have been prescribed to me.
So now going forward,
somebody needs to read their notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just unimaginable that, you would have these thoughts. Now you understand the kind of the weight of this. Now, how do you monitor yourself kind of going forward, and so you don't get into that position again?
Well, speaking with my therapist, she's pretty convinced that I will not have another homicidal ideation unless there's an outside factor.
Right. Yeah.
But
Life is
I
unpredictable
think,
like that, so you have to be on your toes, right? Yeah.
absolutely. I think going through the psych ward experience really was key for me to monitoring myself, because now, like, I will allow myself 3 days of suicidal ideation. And if I cross over those 3 days, then that's my cue to pick up and go back to the psych ward because something isn't right. And it was a crappy experience. It was not pleasant, but it also, like, it worked. They got me better.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me coping skills, and they adjusted my medications. And it was like, yeah, these things are important and they help you. And having a therapist also is really important. She really keeps me in check with my cognitive restructuring, and how I view certain situations. And I'm always on the lookout for triggers that can cause not just the depression, but the hypomania, because the hypomania leads into depression. So it's kind of just like having a game plan, talking with my husband about what's going on, and that way he can take over if things get a little bit too messy and I need to kind of take a step back. And now I research every drug that I take. Before I take it.
Yes. No matter how benign it seems.
You're like, hold please, let me go read this entire book. Your OCD and hyperfixation can work on reading the BDSM about that drug.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
so I'm curious.
Just real quick on that note, and obviously it's still a part of your treatment, is your meds.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And monitored probably and adjusted every once in a while and whatever your needs are. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Addie, sorry.
So my question is, typically there's a lot of like taboo around mental health and things. So what made you brave enough to like say, wow, something's wrong, I got to go get some help, versus the people that are like, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to be nuts, and people are, I'm not going to be able to live a life or do the things. Like, what led you in the direction of, hey, I'm going to speak up and ask for some help or figure out what's going on? Because there's a lot of like, hide it, don't say it, because you suddenly will be ostracized.
Yeah. With me, I've always been an oversharer. And when I was diagnosed with OCD, I started posting about my journey on Facebook with mental health. And then that turned into the story of, oh, Anna's bipolar. What's that like? So I often will post on Facebook, like, what is it like? Here's life with bipolar today. I'm going through this. I'm going through that. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm hypomanic. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. And I've gotten a lot of messages from people who say, oh, I'm also bipolar and I appreciate you posting this, or my husband's bipolar and I can relate to this, and please don't stop posting. So I have a lot of positive validation coming from that. So I've never feared telling that story, which, could be to my detriment, because like in the workplace, I tell people like, yeah, I'm bipolar, but maybe HR shouldn't know that necessarily. But I think
they should. I feel like we need to normalize this more and not have the stigma, where if you go get treatment, then you're ostracized. Yeah, I think you're doing.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. And I have someone in my life who is bipolar and is very close to me, and we often talk about like how much should we let HR know. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a company that is very very considerate when it comes to giving that space. But I don't fear talking about it, but I fear like pushing my luck. I fear people thinking that I'm using it as an excuse, Yeah.
I have a number of different questions, but let's see. It seems like, and I wanted to get this out there, is that I don't know if it's luck or just you got a good healthcare system there, but everything went right for you, right?
Yeah.
In a very difficult situation. I mean, we've all heard the stories too many times when the outcome wasn't as good, and then all the interactions with the mental health system, you start to come back. Well, she went for help at this point, and nobody listened, and you know what I mean. And here it comes to that point where her kids have suffered the consequences. Whereas you had a social worker that seemed to recognize that this was an issue and to get you help. And then when you went into the hospital, they immediately took care of you. You got into a psychiatric ward, and as unpleasant as that is, it really seems like it's helped you a lot. So I don't know. Can you speak to any of that?
Yeah, I really do feel like I am one of the lucky ones, because there are so many factors that could have impeded my ability to go to the hospital that night. Oh. If my husband was working that night, if I didn't have a car, if I didn't have insurance, like all of those things could have just, I wouldn't have gone, and I live pretty rurally. And there aren't a lot of great hospital choices. And before I went, I was driving to the hospital and I was wondering to myself, like, do they even have a psychiatric ward? Sure. I didn't know. And, not every hospital does have one. And I have truly been blessed with people in my life who are supportive, who don't talk down to me, who want me to get better, who believe that mental health is important and recognize how debilitating the disability can be. And there are so many people who don't have those things. Yeah. And even just not having one of those aspects, even just having, let's say that your best friend doesn't believe that mental health is that big of an issue, but everybody else in your life does, right? I mean, that one person can deter you from seeking help.
That's one of those things that I've thought for many, many years, is that first of all, we take our mental health for granted. And I feel like it's a pretty thin line to where, from day to day to day, some event or something could cause your mental health to go south very quickly.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think we need to take it seriously.
And when my first book was published, I knew that there was a chance that it was going to be a triggering event. And it did. I was hypomanic for about 3 weeks. And then things went down and I got depressed for about a week, and then things were fine. But then, I also know that there are certain triggers, like if one time I got in a Facebook argument with somebody who had opposing beliefs as me, and that's never a good idea. Can we just say that? It's so bad for your mental health to do? But the stuff that he said just ate into my brain, and it stayed with me. And like, I was depressed for almost a month, and it wasn't because of what he said, but the trigger of what he said and that negative interaction we had, it rewired my brain. And then it just never got back until it rewired itself eventually, naturally, but it took a while, and that was just a small event.
I've had a few incidents in my life that really, if I were to tell you the story, they seem pretty benign, but it really taught me how, when somebody says something to you that's particularly cruel, and no matter how strong your self-esteem is or all that, man, it really, like you say, I mean, I was in a funk for, a week or two about that, until I finally realized that it was this person's problem. And then I started to feel sorry for her, that's yes. How she needed to lash out in such a horrific way that, then I kind of felt sorry for her, but yeah, like I say, it's a thin line sometimes. Now, do you ever, does it manifest itself in suicidal ideations?
It does. Yeah. And, I've kind of walked around with suicidal ideations, not my entire life, but definitely since my traumatic event in China. And I am kind of used to it by now. From the age of 19 to 34, at least once a week, or maybe even more, the thought pops into your head that it's like, hey, the world would be a better place without you. But I've learned that that voice is a liar. That's not
Yeah.
me. That's the tricky trickster in my brain that wants to cause havoc and run amok. And I just gotta basically tell him to screw off, right? And sometimes the bipolar disorder and the OCD will kick into overdrive together, especially if I'm depressed. And it'll be like every car I pass on the road, swerve into this one. Okay, that one didn't work. Swerve into this one. Okay, that didn't work. There's a lake coming up. Swerve off into the lake, But in some ways, I can look back at it and be like, that is so ridiculous. Like, this is, when you're going through it, you just go moment by moment. You live moment by moment. But when you're out of it and you look back, you think that was so silly. And I think trying to hold on to that was so silly feeling, knowing that once this is over, it's not going to last forever. I'll look back and think it was, silly.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got its place.
I think that's
the place is right there. Don't leave that place. Yeah. So, I think one of your best, probably qualities, I've known you all of 20 minutes or so, but put my psychiatrist hat on, and your self-awareness, I think, must have served you very well through all of this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't get a tinge of like denial with you.
No, and I think, and I'll go ahead and I'll touch on that traumatic event because I think that really is what shaped me. Mm-hmm. I was in a relationship with somebody in China who coerced me into having an abortion when I was 14 weeks pregnant. And immediately after, that person told me that he was married, he was using me for my money, he never loved me, he would never let somebody like me have his baby. And I was ready to go home and have the baby. But I went through with the abortion because he had told me that basically if I made that sacrifice for him and for us, for our family, we would have a future together and he would take care of me and everything would be wonderful and hunky-dory. And he didn't force me to have that abortion. There is accountability because I took those pills. I was the one that did that. So in order for me to process that traumatic event, I had to take ownership of my role. And taking ownership of my role in the most traumatic event of my life has allowed me to take ownership of the actions that are in other aspects of my life, especially when it comes to mental health, because for me, it's not just affecting me. It's going to affect my children and my husband, and, even the people around me. And so I feel like I need to hold myself accountable in order to be the best person I can be.
Yeah. Talk about your family and if you will, your kids and your husband. It sounds like there's a, team mom there, everybody's got their, maybe a role
Absolutely.
to play and keeping an eye on mom, helping mom through these things. And,
Yeah. And, I'm even luckier.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm even luckier because my husband's mother was also bipolar. And she was bipolar. He understands. And she was being experimentally treated in a state hospital. So she was not always stable and the medications did not always work. So he's seen how bad it can get. And he understands what I'm going through. And, my kids are 8 and 4. And the 4-year-old is still kind of oblivious to mommy's mental health issues. But I've told my daughter, and I've told her, like, mommy has something called bipolar, and it makes my brain feel sad sometimes. And sometimes my brain feels crazy, like it can do anything. And I say, sometimes I get really angry and I want to yell. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll burst out and I'll scream at the top of my lungs. And I feel so bad when it happens, but it only happens when I'm really depressed. And I immediately apologize. And I'm like, this is not your fault. This is mommy's brain that isn't working right. I'm sorry. And she understands and she does pretty good at it. Although sometimes, one time I got mad at her and I put her in timeout and she said, Mommy, is your brain not happy right now?
Oh, kids.
She was like, I'm going to blame your other half because my mommy wouldn't do that. Yeah. So I'm curious because Doug and I often talk about this. With us, our disabilities obviously show on the outside. We can't not reveal it when you're like going to date or meet new people or anything like that. We cannot hide it. Like, hello, it's in the room. How did you talk to your husband about it? I mean, depending on the circumstance in which you met, obviously his mom was bipolar, but how do you get to that conversation of like, hey, I'm different and it really affects my life, and if you're coming on this ride, be prepared.
Yeah. Well, with him, it just kind of happened that we were already married when I got the diagnosis.
Okay.
And when I got together with him, I've known him for 15 years, but we haven't been together for that long. We've only been together for about 8. Um, I knew about the OCD, but I didn't know about the bipolar yet. And so he was okay with that. He was like, he did his own research and he seemed to be fine. And then since we were together when I got the diagnosis, he just automatically went into like dad mode where he was like being the one that's like, all right, I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. It'll be fine.
Yeah. It's like my old skills are coming to fruition. There was a reason for all of this.
And with my family, I have a great support system with my parents, and I'm also very lucky to have a good relationship with my parents. But it's kind of an untalked about secret that my paternal biological grandfather was also bipolar. And,
Okay.
and he was unmedicated. And I mean, my dad had a crazy childhood because of that. And I have two other family members that are bipolar on both sides of my family, on both my maternal side and my paternal side. So talking through that with my husband, he was like, okay, so when we have another child, what are we going to do? Like, do we want to have another child? Because it's possible that this child could be bipolar. And that was a conversation that we had to have, is like, is it amoral? Is it irresponsible? And we had to talk to people about that. And some people believe that it is amoral and irresponsible to risk passing down that disability. But we decided that, we both have the tools and the understanding. And I do not think that my life is any lesser for being bipolar. I don't think that I am a burden. I don't think that anybody who is disabled is a burden, And we decided we're going to go through with it, and we'll just tackle it if it comes.
Your brain just throws a confetti party randomly. And then
pretty much.
Like,
and then gets sad that it has to pick up afterwards.
Right. It's like, who did this? Who did this? Exactly. So I don't, excuse my ignorance, because I will claim ignorant on this. So it comes down genetically then, typically? Because
there is
a chemical imbalance, or what is it necessarily? Do we know?
There is no like definitive, it definitely comes from genetics, but genetics do play a part. So there is about a 50% chance of your children being bipolar if you are bipolar. And I think it's one of those ones that tends to skip generations, because like my father and 3 of his other siblings are completely fine. And then it's like the one odd sibling out that has the same diagnosis. But you can also develop it, like you can be bipolar without having it in your family as well. So I think it's just kind of I don't know.
Shotzi. Who knows?
Yeah, pretty much.
You reached in and grabbed you reached in the bag and that's what you got. But if your bag's a little heavier with bipolarism, you might pick it up faster than others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Addie and I both can, the randomness of disability sometimes.
Yeah.
Even in my case, I mean, I got it only a year old, but my brother did, but my older sister didn't, and so you never know.
Yeah.
Toss up. We're the lucky few. That's what happens.
So this is the part of the story that I always enjoy when we share these stories. We go and get to know the person. We we learn about how they discovered or when they came to their disability, how they dealt with it, how they kind of overcame that whole realization in their life that this is the way life's going to be, and we deal with it. But then there's life after it and life going forward. And, it sounds like you have a very thriving life. So love to hear more about that. Love to hear about your journey to, having a published international book.
Yeah. So I was talking with my therapist sometime in 2024, early 2024, and we were talking about how to work through trauma. And I had started writing after that trauma had happened. I had started writing down everything that happened, but I never finished. And she encouraged me to keep writing the story. And so I sat down and I started writing, and the trauma remembrance triggered some hypomania, and I wrote that whole damn book in 3 weeks.
Wow. So it can be
I got it.
good.
Yeah.
Forces of good for that one.
Right.
And then it was published in 2025. And for this past year, I have had way more hypomania than depression. It has fueled my writing journey. I've written 3 books.
Wow.
The second book is going to be published, hopefully, in February, to mark the 15-year anniversary of my journey to China. And the book is also about China. My first book is the memoir about my relationship with the psychopathic yak herder who coerced me into an abortion. The second
I love
book,
that term right there, psychopathic yak herder. And when I woke up this morning, I didn't think I was going to hear that phrase.
It doesn't seem real, but it is.
Is that on your bingo card? Sorry.
The second book is a collection of stories from my expat days, what it was like to be an expat. The third book is getting published in Hong Kong in 2026. And that is a fantasy book that is based around Chinese mythological characters. And now I'm writing a 4th book that is not about China. It is about a woman in a psych ward, and it is based on my own experiences. Except this is going to be a comedic horror where there's a monster in the psych ward, and it's a tickle monster. I think that being tickled in the psych ward would be horrifying.
Well, you got a diverse
no kidding.
library.
Like, they just won't leave you alone.
Out there. I like it. So, what's been the feedback from the book about your journey? You're getting some positive. I'm sure some people will relate to it, and it helps them, I imagine, too, right?
I thought there were going to be a bunch of people who really hated me for what I did. And I'm finding that is not the experience at all. And if there are people out there, they just don't talk to me about how they're feeling. But I've had many women say that they've gone through something similar. And, these are strangers that don't know me, and they say, I've gone through something similar and I was so ashamed to talk about it. And there shouldn't be shame, because this is a story that happens all over the world. Mm-hmm. And there are many, many victims, and we're not talking about it when we should be.
I gotta get my circle.
Sorry, that was my 4-year-old in the background.
That's cute. So to that person that you had the argument with, the debate with online, and thought that, it's immoral to bring someone into the life. I mean, don't you just want to reconnect with them and say, how many books have you written?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Would love to.
What family do you have?
Yeah.
Probably not Christian.
Well, and in my experience with people who have mental health issues is that the disability tends to make you more creative because you have to work around society. You can't just pass through society normally, right? So you have to be creative in how you navigate the world, and that makes you creative in other ways too, in your expression. And we think about all these artists, musicians, writers who have journeys with mental health issues. And they probably, wouldn't have been that good of a writer if they didn't have those issues to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And
right.
Addie and I, we talk about
That's a tremendous way to look at it.
With our disability, it's made us in other creative ways, just how to navigate life, and with our mobility challenges. And it's a muscle then like you say, it's a muscle that you flex in other ways too, because you get so good at, problem solving quickly. You're out and about and it's like, okay, there's no stairs there. How am I going to get it into that place? But it starts to manifest itself in other parts of your life, where you're pretty good at problem solving. So
absolutely.
And where can we get the books?
So the first book, it's called A Ghost in the Middle Kingdom. It's available on Amazon. It's also on Barnes & Noble and Target. And you can also get it through the publisher, Black Rose Writing. It's all listed on my website, which is annakeibler.com. And hopefully the next 2 books will be on the website soon as well, with information on how to pre-order.
Very nice.
Amazing. Yay. I'm already ready. My bookshelf is getting ready.
Yeah.
2026. They're on the reading list.
Addie's an avid reader. I used to have more time for it. I'd love to get back to it. I'm sure I will. So maybe yours will get me sparked.
Yes. Well, and the book is free on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have a Kindle and you have the unlimited subscription, go for it.
Excellent. So any kind of final thoughts for people out there struggling with mental health? Is there any lessons you've learned that you can convey really quickly and easily here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not you. It's just a part of you. And it will end. Like it's not permanent. This is not a permanent state of being. Get the help you need to keep yourself healthy, and that will help too.
And on that note, thank you very much. Anna Keibler, mental health expert.
Thank you.
By this point.
Be a life's trained you.
Yeah, and I think big lesson out of this, if you're going through some of these struggles, be more vocal. There's people out there that want to support you, will support you, and you'll really find your people when you go through that, I'm sure. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
I had a huge bruise from my mom's 9mm. It was a hollow point, and it went in diagonal up at an angle from just above my right ear to about the left side of my top of my head.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
From the Ugyar Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Stories shared in every heart. Healing starts to play its part. In this journey we unite, shining with the glowing light. Insight found in every voice. Together we make our choice. Strength and wisdom grow within. This is where our tales begin. Walk and roll, we stand so tall, breaking barriers, breaking walls, creating space where all belong. In our unity we're strong.
All right, first order of business, I have got to get myself up off the floor. Wow, that story was impactful. What are your thoughts?
This is such an interesting story. I love sitting with Anna. It's fun as we have like expanded across the U.S. We learn about different things and different care in different places. She's obviously, I believe, in Indiana, and it's nice to know that even though she was in a smallish place, they had a good level of care for her.
Yeah, I was surprised at that.
Yeah, I was like, me too, because I mean, I've been in places where that's not the case. So I'm impressed that she happened to land in one of those places. I also love that even in a hallucination state and like where she knew she was in kind of a crisis, she still had like the presence of mind to be like, I'm going to the hospital. I'm not sitting with these thoughts. Like, I love that her sort of subconscious, whatever we want to call it, her training and understanding her difference had, piqued her enough to say, wait, I got to get out of here to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, yeah.
Bravo to you, Anna. I said that when we talked, but I continue to say that. And she's a great example of an encouragement that if something mentally is not going right with you, do not be afraid to seek help. Do not worry about the stigma. Like, you are caring for yourself and those that you love and those that are around you. Get the help. Call, 911, a non-emergency number, whatever you can call to reach out and say, hey, something isn't right.
Absolutely. And in my story in the opening, where I had hallucinations, and you might have thought that I took them lightly, but I really didn't.
Yes.
That's what spurred me on to do kind of the level of self-care that I did, which, has served me pretty well. But yeah, definitely if I heard myself saying, I want to hurt myself or somebody around me, I would like to think I would have jumped into motion, So good for her.
I love her because, I like the self-awareness in it. And I like the fact that she's like, this is me and this is what we deal with. And this is, going forward, this is how we're going to cope with it. Like, it's very interesting to hear someone so frankly talk about something that's given a lot of stigma. Like, I appreciated how honest she was. And, written her book and kind of walked through the process and told her story and said, hey, guys, this is me. This is me deal with what it was. So I can see that she's going to be an example for other people.
I think this is where, because I want to say something, but it would definitely fall under, perhaps by some, the umbrella of victim shaming. But I think folks sometimes complicate things a little too much, and they need to just keep it simple, just don't rationalize so much and just think if I'm going to harm myself, that's the ultimate. Or if you're going to harm your family, that's the ultimate. So that's when you have to spring into action, and F everybody. Who cares what they think? Are they taking care of you and your family on a daily basis, hour by hour, 24/7, 365? No, they don't count. You got to do what you need to do. Yeah. So, all right. What else? You ready to go?
We've done our thing.
Yeah. All righty, Addie. Any events coming up this week for you?
Oh, I have my first meeting tomorrow with the ERG. I did get accepted to the ERG board at work, so I'm excited to represent.
All right. Put that on the agenda. You? Need to talk about that next week. Well,
healing.
I do have 2 or 3 or 4 things going on this week. Let's see if we make them.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are I'm really looking forward to just our Tuesday dinner. The Tuesday dinner night club, and it's our Tuesday night dinner club. Yeah, there we go. And then Dog's Night Out. We didn't do one last week because John was sick, but and then we've got a board meeting for anthesis on my brain isn't at 100%. I don't know if you can tell. And so hopefully I can make that as well. But because I don't want to miss any more. So I don't know what I'm going to eat when I go out to dinner. Can I have a bowl of white rice, please?
Yes, may I have a piece of toast, a flat ginger ale, and a bowl of white rice? Thank you.
Would you like butter on that? No.
We're sending you healing sparkles from here.
I appreciate it very much. All right, Mike, Kent is our guest next week. Another guest from the other side of the world. Look at us, all grown up. Hey, so we'll listen to that. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich. Couldn't do it without you. From the Adyar Professional Training Studio, this has been Walk and Roll Live. Disability Stories, Life Limitless.
Walk and roll life.